Hey family, thanks for showing up. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you share this one. We're going to get started here in just a few. I want to give people a little bit more time to come in because this one definitely is going to be a must watch. So I appreciate your patience. We'll be getting started here within the next couple of minutes. Hey, what's happening, family? It's your man Mark Black. Look at this. Two broadcasts back to back. I must be feeling my oats or y'all inspire me. Either way, I'm glad to be able to do it. Before we get started, fam, you know how we do, right? Get yourself situated. Put your thinking caps on, perk your ears up. This one's gonna be a must watch, a must view, because we're gonna be talking about some heavy duty stuff today. Um, Also, just as a matter of a little bit of housekeeping, I want to say welcome to all the new angry black sheep who joined us from Sister Yvette's channel. It was my pleasure yesterday to come on and speak with you guys, to give you some information, and to let you know I'm here. I look forward to providing you with just as much information, just as much support, and just as much advocacy as you have been used to getting from our esteemed sister. With that said, gotta give you a few caveats. I do have a different style than our sister Yvette. She is very, very soft, very conciliatory at times, right? And I appreciate that about her. I do use profanity. I speak about adult things to adult people. So be aware that if you are used to maybe having your children nearby or whatever the case may be, you may want to kind of interpret for them the context in which your brother Mark Black is speaking, right? And so on and so forth. Also, just like the sister Yvette Carnell, I do ask that if I provide you with something that edifies, with something that uplifts you, if you have the means, there are links in the description field of each one of my videos to contribute tips. I also have links to various books such as American Slavery, The Half Has Not Been Told. As a matter of fact, funny that I mentioned that. I actually have added a new book that is going to be a book that I'm going to review and discuss. The Color of Money by Marissa Baradaran, I believe her name is. I'm certain I'm butchering that. But it discusses black banks and the racial wealth gap. A link to that book is in the description field of this video. Each one of those books that you purchase through those links help to support my channel. I also have merchandise available with the Angry Black Sheep logo. I used to carry merchandise that had ADOS on it, but out of respect for Tone and Yvette's work, I chose not to do that, right? I'm not here to get rich. I'm not here to fleece you. I'm here to provide you with advocacy and information. And if that is of value to you and you choose to support that, then I'm definitely appreciative. Okay. And you right, Chris. I've got the book on the way, but the reviews that I've seen of it, I can't wait to read it. It's actually going to be delivered via Amazon today, right? So I'm very much looking forward to reading that and also kind of doing a review and discussing the book. Now, family, there's a call-in number there at the bottom of the screen. Let me give you a heads up. I'm a small YouTuber. I don't have the means yet to have like a conference line available where you can listen to the broadcast, wait to be speaking. So that line is open, but only after my little piece, right? So what I usually do is I give a little bit of a discourse, right? Discuss some information, and then I open it up, and I can take one call at a time. So family, I know you're used to the the love, the benefits with our sister Yvette. I'm not there yet. I'm working on it. You right? If you feel like you want to help me get there, of course, there are definitely links to support the work that I do and to help me get there. Okay, so family, with that said, what we are going to talk about today is the executive order that I mentioned on the broadcast yesterday, Executive Order 13872, right? Now, 13872 was signed by Donald Trump just this month, right? May 13th of this month, okay? And what this executive order does is it provides for some key things for a key demographic. Sorry, I can't say key demographic with a straight face, but for a particular demographic here in the United States, right? Because one would have to argue that this demographic, being as small a portion of the population as they constitute, right, is a key demographic. Yet, we will see very shortly, because we are going to do something that probably no one else will do here on this forum. And that is, we're going to go through this executive order piece by piece. And I'm going to show you exactly what this thing constitutes. Now, for those of you who want to follow along and be able to read the executive order for yourself, here is a link to the Federal Register, right? The National Archives, that allows you to be able to pull up the exact documentation of the executive order itself, 13872. Okay? So there is that link for you, right? And you can go ahead and follow along. Now, before we go through this thing, there's a couple of things that I want to discuss. I wanted to thank Yvette yesterday for something she said during her broadcast, and that is she addressed this so-called anti-immigrant stance that a lot of people have attributed to us as ADOS advocates and proponents. Family, I will be the first to admit to you that I am of the mind that we as ADOS folk really need to give a good, long, hard, factual, cold, reasoned look at the effects of immigration on us as a tribe. There are clear studies that establish the deleterious effects of immigration, both legal as well as illegal, on us as ADOS people. And I think that that should go without saying. Now, does this mean, however, that we hate individual immigrants or groups of immigrants from various nations, that we have personal animus towards, say, African immigrants or other diasporan black immigrants or, Latino immigrants or whatever? No, it does not. I have no personal animus whatsoever toward Guatemalans, towards Hondurans, El Salvadorians, right? I don't have any personal animus towards Haitians or Jamaicans or Barbadians or Antiguans, right? I don't have any animus towards Nigerians or Ghanaians or Cote d'Ivoirians or Kenyans or anybody else. My issue is with the idea of broad-based, open borders for everybody who wants to come here, when you have a big portion of the populace, roughly 13% of the populace, who are American citizens, who find themselves being the out group, the ones that eat the failure, the ones that are set up to struggle, right? To experience the worst of what America has to offer, to be denied the fullest expression of our citizenship. And as a member of that tribal group, shout out to everyone who just joined us, V. Brown, LaShawn, right? As a member of that group, it is in my interest, not just my interest, but the interest of my tribe, to address issues such as immigration that arise, that have these deleterious effects. But to say that we as a collective are so heartless and cruel that we would rather see people die than to get asylum, for example, and things like that, is just simply patently false. It always has been, and it always will be. And those people out there who have agendas to try to make ADOS folk look as bad as possible are the only ones who are shouting that we're like MAGA proponents rather than race people, right? Rather than single issue politics and politics proponents and voters, right? You have people out there openly calling our entire tribe trash, using language that is reminiscent of the language you hear prior to the initiation of genocide against the people. If you have an issue with me politically, we can have a discussion. We can have a sit down. We can even have heated discussion, heated words. I don't take it personal. But when you describe me and my people as trash, things that you throw away, that you incinerate or discard, in an environment in which we already have issues with protection, with safety, with being able to look out for our very fucking lives, you are a despicable individual. You are a despicable individual. And you deserve nothing but our deepest outrage, our ire, shade, and smoke. And while my esteemed sister Yvette is measured, calm, genteel, the epitome of a Southern woman, I got time. I'm just that nigga. So come for me. At any rate, fam, enough with that shit. Let's get to work. I'm going to bring up right now the executive order. Here it is. Economic empowerment of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. This was signed, as I stated, on May 13th, 2019. That was this year. By the way, shout out to Tazaba and shout out to Joan. When you remember the sense of sarcasm that I expressed when I said that this executive order addresses a key demo here in our society, this document itself states that Asian Americans or Pacific Islanders, what they call AAPI, right, is 6% of the population of the United States currently, as of the last census, the last data that we have available, around 20 million people. And that's if you combine everybody from Asia, as well as Filipinos, Indonesians, Sumatrans, people from Singapore, so on and so forth, right? Pacific Islanders, people from Palau, Vanuatu, Micronesia, Papua New Guinea, and so on and so forth. So all of these people combined make up about 20 million Americans. Meanwhile, family, at the last census, ADOS folk alone make up around 38 million Americans, or approximately 13% of the population. So, again, I find it hard to believe that Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders are experiencing such angst, such struggle, that an executive order is required to address them. But that's a topic for another discussion. By the way, Brandon, welcome to the broadcast. If you have not subscribed, please make sure you do so. We would love to have you as a member of the Angry Black Sheep. Now, let's go over this document, family, because what we're going to see very shortly here is that this actually is a game changer for us as ADOS folk. I know it doesn't seem like it, right? When you look at this executive order, you're thinking, how the hell does this benefit ADOS folk? Don't you worry, family. I will get to it. So, in the document itself, right, you have the preamble: by the authority vested in me as president, blah, 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 right? And he thereby orders X. Okay. And it discusses policy in this first section, right? Talking about the demographic itself, the potential growth of the demographic, so on and so forth, where this demographic historically hails from. Like I said, the United States, Pacific Island territories, Asian nations, and so on and so forth, right? In the executive order states here that they play an important economic role, having started businesses and generate jobs that pay billions of dollars in wages and taxes, including founding some of our nation's most successful and innovative enterprises. As you all know, as ADOS folk, right? Asians and Pacific Islanders have long been considered the so-called model minority. I want to shout out before I continue, Eviscerator, V Brown, definitely. I want to welcome all of you. To all my people who came from Yvette's broadcast, I am definitely glad to have you. Become an angry black sheep and stick around. So the article, or it's not the article, but the executive order continues as follows, right? They say that it celebrates the contributions of the communities to the nation, but that they encounter challenges accessing economic resources and opportunities, right? So it states that many of the 1.9 million businesses, which, by the way, family, before we continue, remember this channel is about the data. It's about the facts. They're experiencing all of these obstacles and challenges around accessing economic resources and opportunities. Yet, as 6% of America's population, they own more businesses than we do at 13%. ADOS people control roughly about 1.2 million businesses overall that are black owned or ADOS owned and controlled as 13% of the population. 1.2. And the overwhelming majority of those businesses, if you read the information and what we get wrong about racial wealth gap, links in the description below to the report, so you don't have an excuse for not having read it, you would see that the vast majority of those businesses have an employee base of one, the owner. Meanwhile, 6% of the populace is recognized to have some challenges accessing economic resources and opportunities, and then yet they have nearly double the business enterprises that we do. It says here that many of their 1.9 million owned enterprises are sole proprietorships. Okay, that stands to reason, especially if these groups are made up of primarily immigrants, right? They would not necessarily have access to immediate bunches of capital to be able to expand right away. But there is nothing in America that is necessarily hindering Asians from accessing business capital. Many venture capitalists in Silicon Valley, Wall Street, and so on and so forth go out of their way to address funding, right? Capitalization for Asian owned and controlled businesses, right? We have Asians being brought to America under H-1B visas to take some of the tech jobs in the tech sector. Kamala Harris at Alia just passed a bill, which she co-sponsored. So much for, I'm not going to do anything specifically for black people. Well, she didn't have any problem doing anything specifically for Indians, did she? Co-sponsored a bill to increase the number of H-1B visas available to people from the Indian subcontinent. By the way, Indian subcontinent includes Bangladesh, India, Kashmir, and Pakistan. Meanwhile, we have graduates from American colleges, ADOS folk, who graduating from either HBCUs or PWIs in technology who struggle to even break into the tech sector, who have to start off freelancing and nickel and diming their way into the tech sector. Meanwhile, a new booty, fresh graduated, newly minted coder from some Indian university that probably funded their education by working in a scam call center could come over here and get a job making 30, 40, 50, 60, $80,000 a year off of an H-1B. And no one's got a problem with that. No one's got a problem with that. You see, family, everybody in this country plays identity politics. That was the one thing that Yvette and Tone showed us, is that there is no shame in us identifying ourselves as a unique and distinct lineage and tribe within the confines of America and playing identity politics for ourselves, because everyone else is already doing it. Everyone. Hell, you have undocumented immigrants, which actually I call them by their proper term, illegal immigrants, becoming a damn demo. And they're not even citizens. Everybody in this country plays identity politics. But you, ADOS folk, have been the only group that has been shamed into not doing it. You are the only ones who are supposed to put on your Superman and Superwoman cape and fly to the rescue of everybody. Your black ass is freezing your ass off at Standing Rock. You're marching with Occupy Wall Street, racing for the cure, and so on and so forth. You jump on board everybody's identity struggle. And when it's your turn to press home your justice claim, to say to America, we have been the mules, we have been the shoes, the work boots that this country put on to build itself, and now we want our due, you look behind you and you hear crickets. Pardon me for the rant, family. I get heated. And I get disgusted. We are the only people who are psychologically marketed to, propagandized to be the trash of the United States of America. The only group. So, according to this executive order, AAPI communities have challenges accessing economic resources and opportunities. So, what is it then that the Trump administration, through this executive order, hopes to accomplish? We find out right here in Section 2. Let's take a look, shall we? The president, through this executive order, is establishing an advisory commission on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders under the Department of Commerce. You know, the ones that control the purse strings. The mission of this commission, right, is to develop, coordinate the executive branch efforts to get access by AAPI employers and community to economic resources and opportunities, to develop strategies for encouraging innovation and entrepreneurship for them, right? To increase strategies or increase federal procurement opportunities for them, right? To increase participation of their business enterprises in partnerships and public-private partnerships, right? to employ existing knowledge and relationships to pursue trade and investment opportunities in the Asia Pacific region, right? To empower students and families with the freedom to pursue the educational opportunities that best prepare them for success, and to discover strategies for increasing the diversity of the workforce with AAPI employees, to the compilation of data and research, right, based on their populations, their subpopulations in any businesses, and an analysis of the economic condition of United States Pacific Island territories to help devise strategies to help them develop their islands and so on and so forth. That was a lot. So let me give you, as your brother and one who loves you, the TLDR version of what this executive order is designed to do. Number one, it's designed to provide business support, right? Similar to what we should have access to as citizens with the Small Business Administration, right? The Small Business Administration isn't just a source of funding, right? I actually used to go to a local library where they had SBA mentors that you could go and ask questions, learn different things, and so on and so forth to provide you with business support. Beyond capitalization, family, right? Your initial cap, having the proper support structure and knowledge base to maneuver your particular business space is invaluable. It is a clear advantage for anyone who is able to gain access to that. Well, this executive order sets aside actual resources to ensure business support for AAPI enterprises and business owners. That's number one. Number two, this actually wants to develop strategies to get more capital in the hands of AAPI owned enterprises, businesses, so on and so forth. So this commission is slated to come up with key hardcore strategies to take actual capital, actual resources, and put that in the hands of Asians and Pacific Islanders in their business enterprises. So it's addressing, supporting them, right? Providing them with the knowledge base, the data, the analysis of markets, trade relationships, and so on and so forth. That's a given. Two, it's actually going to provide them with real capital, right? So, cash money, ducats, greenbacks, guap. And then the third, and what I think is the most egregious thing, is it actually is going to develop strategies to prefer AAPI owned and controlled enterprises and businesses for federal procurement contracts. Do you have any idea, family, what that means? What this means is that whenever the government needs something done and it decides it cannot do it on its own, what it does is it requests bids, right? Private enterprises can come and bid on providing the government with particular resources, services, so on and so forth. And the government can choose what enterprises it wants to utilize for any given infrastructure project, service, so on and so forth. Now, the government holds the purse strings, which means that should they decide to prefer a certain group or a certain type of business over another one to provide a service, product, infrastructure, whatever, that money is guaranteed. And it's coming out of your and my pocket, whether we want it to or not. Whether we want to frequent that business or not does not matter. The federal government is paying that business money. Thomas, you brought up a really good question. And I think it's one that warrants exploring because, Trump values himself as this, you know, arch negotiator, right? Perhaps this executive order is the carrot for Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders while it's giving China the stick. I don't think that conjecture is outside the realms of possibility. But what this means, family, is that giving preference to AAPI businesses in procurement means that they're guaranteeing some of these businesses big money. Guaranteed. So they're going to develop strategies to provide business support, knowledge base, and business infrastructure for AAPI businesses, owned and controlled enterprises and businesses. They're going to give them loans, grants, and aid, so on and so forth. So actual capital. And then a portion of that capital is going to be guaranteed, locked in through federal procurement contracts. And there you have it, fam. There you have it. We're going to go through the rest of the document, but right there is the key. Look at this. This is fucking disgusting, right? Increasing AAPI business diversification through general reductions in regulatory and tax burdens. You know what this means? This means that some of these businesses will get tax breaks and certain laws and rules that they are amazingly sticklers about when it comes to ADOS folks starting businesses will just kind of get, glossed over. Oh, man, wow, I can't believe that they pumped that shit into, Hudson River. Oh, well, that's an AAPI, business right there and so on and so forth. Well, let's call them in and give them a stern talking to. That type of shit. Whereas if you had an ADOS business and I don't know, the temperature in your cooler was 41 degrees rather than 40 degrees, they'll come and shut your whole damn business down as a health violation or some shit. And ain't nobody looking to ease the regulations a little bit to overlook some slight when it comes to you to make your ways smooth. Let's take a look at a couple of other items, fam. The membership of the commission. The commission shall consist of members appointed by the president who are United States citizens or nationals, or who are citizens of the Republic of Palau, the Republic of the Marshall Islands, or the Federated States of Micronesia, who are subject to an applicable compact of free association with the United States, and shall include individuals having a history of engagement and involvement with AAPI communities and enterprises. The president shall designate one member of the commission to serve as chair, unquote. Let's take a look at something real quick. Let me pull it up for you. Give me just a second, fam. I'm going to show you something that many of us have been talking about. Give me just a moment, fam. All right. Let me go ahead and bring this on in. I'm going to show you real quick this. Sorry, let me close. There we go. I'm gonna make this a little bigger for you. Y'all recognize this? Y'all recognize this right here? What is this? Anybody familiar with the title of this, the text of this bill right here? This is HR 40, in case you ain't know. Right? HR 40, fam, does what? HR 40 is supposed to be a bill introduced by Congress to study, to have a commission, right, to study and consider a national apology and proposal for the reparations for the institution of slavery, for de jure and de facto racial and economic and so on and so forth. We know what this is, right? Now, remember what we were just looking at. What we were just looking at here, right, shows that the membership of the commission actually consists of people that are affected by the economic benefit of the executive order. These are Asian people, right? These are people who are from the various Pacific Island republics. These are people who constitute the actual group of folk who will benefit from the economic opportunities and advancement. Now, this is how much they respect you. Let's see who constitutes the commission for HR 40. The commission shall be composed of 13 members who shall be appointed within 90 days after the enactment as follows. 3 members shall be appointed by the president. 3 members shall be appointed by the Speaker of the House. 1 member shall be appointed by the President pro tempore of the Senate. And 6 members shall be selected from major civil society and reparations organizations that have historically championed the cause of reparatory justice. So, of the 13 members of this commission for HR 40, 7 of the motherfuckers don't even have to be anybody who are you. 7 of those people, over half of the people that make up the commission for HR 40 do not even have to be ADOS. The president gets 3. Now, if President Trump or whoever will be the sitting president when this passes and is signed into law, wanted to, they could have Clarence Thomas, Herman Cain, and Armstrong Williams. How many of those motherfuckers have ever supported reparations, has ever done anything that has been beneficial to black folk or for us? And I can't speak for you, but don't the hair on the back of your neck stand up at the very thought of Nancy Pelosi getting to pick 3 people to decide the future trajectory of our people? This same bitch who threw John Conyers under the bus, making him play Step and Fetch It to be anti-reparations. She gets to pick 3. So if you, Asian American Pacific Islander, the commission that decides how to benefit you, to work in your interests, is made up of individuals who are members of your particular group. But if you ADOS, Right? Right? I hear you. I'm trying not to be emotional too. I need to cool it. But fam, surely, you can see the disrespect. Family, let me ask you. Mark Thompson, aka Mufasa Mutombo Imawale, or whatever the fuck his name is, can't even control himself long enough to keep his hands off of somebody who is asking him basic GED level questions. Do you want him sitting on a council that decides the future trajectory of your people, of your tribe? At some point, somebody in the Urban League has mentioned the R word, kind of in like a back room commission meeting, when it was immediately dismissed by their Democratic white paymasters, and they keyed it off, but they wrote it down. Do you want Mark Morial to be sitting on a commission that decides the future trajectory of an entire tribe of folk? Hell, the NAACP now is traded on the damn stock exchange. They'll probably put your reparations up as a bond issue or something for they stockholders. You want them motherfuckers to have a seat at the table? You see it there. I didn't make this up. This is the actual text of the document of HR 40. 7 of the 13 people that sit on the commission to decide the fate of 38 million ADOS folk, to decide the fate of our justice claim, don't even have to be us. Don't even have to look like us, have lived like us, experienced what we experienced. But they made sure in that executive order to note that the people who will make the decisions, who will call the shots, who will have access to the seat of power to make key recommendations, to point the direction where the resources will flow, will be made up of the very people that stand to benefit. The very people that stand to benefit will be the ones to make the decisions, but not you, ADOS. Not if we let HR 40 be how we get it. Let us continue. This just talks about the administration of the commission and so on and so forth, right? And Section 3 actually mentions an initiative that the White House has established, right? A working group that interfaces between commerce, transportation, right? The Secretary of State, Treasury, Defense, all of that. So basically, all of the cabinet level departments in the executive branch will have members on this initiative, right? Now, what is the purpose of this initiative, right? The purpose of this initiative is to basically ensure that what the commission says it wants done gets done. The initiative shall work to broaden AAPI access to economic resources and opportunities, and thus empower AAPIs to improve the quality of their lives, raise the standard of living of their families and communities, and more fully participate in our economy. The initiative shall advise the co-chairs on the implementation and the coordination of federal programs as they relate to AAPI access to economic resources and opportunities, unquote. There you have it, fam. There you have it. No one else, as of yet, has looked over Executive Order. Thank you,
Keep
Show
spitting
Enough.
these facts, Mark.
Thank you, Show Enough, for the love, man. I definitely appreciate it. And I also want to shout out Sister Kimberly, too, for the love, right? I appreciate that, too, as well. Family, I know that right now, you might be feeling a little bitter. I know it, right? Except you forgot who you dealing with. This your man, Mark Black. Ain't no need for feeling bitter, family, because your brother likes to bring solutions to problems, not just problems. Family, before I get to that, I want to share something with you real quick. That executive order we just went over, right? Executive Order 13872. I'm going to tell you what I learned about this executive order, right? Because what's interesting about this executive order is that it was actually not something that Donald Trump came up with, at least not from what I heard, right? So I am going to actually get the information, get the data, right? Give me just a second. There's a brother that I watch named T West, Afro Synergy News. Shout out to the brother T West. I don't agree with brother T West on everything, but hey, I'm not down with the narcissism of small differences. T West is my brother, and so I rides. T West did a really good video. Welcome to the Angry Black Sheep Montreal player. We are glad to have you. He did a really good video on this issue. And T West is very well known for doing his research, his due diligence. Do you know that this executive order was not written by Donald Trump? This executive order was actually written by someone else and presented to Donald Trump to sign. Do I need to repeat that for you? Donald Trump didn't come up with this. I don't think Donald Trump gives really that much of a fuck about Asians or Pacific Islanders, just like most of us would be right if we said he doesn't really give that much of a fuck about black folk, right? I don't think Trump's necessarily racist. I just think Trump's white. America doesn't give a fuck about ADOS people. Trump is no different in that respect than anybody else. But when people have access to him, Monty, thank you so much for the love and support. You know I appreciate you. When people other than ADOS folk have access to Donald Trump, shit gets done. They go in there with their game face on. They present Donald Trump with shit, chop it up with him for a minute, and stuff gets done. Why is this important? Why is Brother Black mentioning this? Because these fools played their hand with this Executive Order 13872. They just gave us, literally, the keys to the kingdom. You see, family, I, as many of you well know, follow a lot of the congressional black carcasses. You know, Clyburn, Sheila Jackson Lee, et alia. And they're hype. Hype, I tell you, positively giddy for the legislation that they introduced to help illegal immigrants. H.R. 6. Positively giddy. Sheila Jackson Lee, with her old receding hairline, crypt keeper looking ass, is at the border screaming bloody murder at the separation of children from their families when their families cross the border illegally. I haven't heard her screaming this loud since that time that she screamed on public TV about the separation of ADOS children from their families when their parents are in car. Oh, wait, she never did that. She's never done that. You can't get this Ilhan character who so many black people stood up and fought for when she was being called anti-Semitic and what have you, right? You can't even get Ilhan, whatever her name is, to even say black people. That Somali representative chick, you can't even get her to say black people. The congressional black carcasses that we all, in our political naivete, have thought for decades actually were there representing black people. I mean, I'm not the sharpest tack in the box, but I figure if you in Congress and you have black in the name of your caucus, that you might do something, care something, give something to black folk. I mean, I could be reaching here because we see consistently support for things like H.R. 6 from the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. The Congressional Asian Caucus have no problem with supporting additional H-1B visas from people from the Indian subcontinent, from Asia. You dig? But when you look for the people who supposedly support you, they're all out there supporting everybody else. They think it's more important. Your congressional black carcasses think that it's more important to support the right of an American citizen who possesses a penis but believes they're female to use a certain type of restroom with equality. And again, no slight or disrespect to my ADOS transgender brothers and sisters, but let's just keep it a buck. The CBC, the Congressional Black Caucuses, think fighting for your right to pick which bathroom you want to use, which restroom you want to use, is more important than whether or not you have any resources to pass from one generation to the next. We who are ADOS proponents and advocates are consistently bombarding the Congressional Black Caucuses with data about how the next generation of Americans is going to receive a wealth transfer of $68 trillion. How even if America does nothing more to hurt us, at our current rate, by 2053, the median net worth of ADOS people, us, not Jamaicans, not Haitians, not Afro-Latinos, ADOS folk will be zero. In a country where wealth means you live or die, that means it's a death sentence. And where's the congressional black caucuses? They having meetings about buying the block with T.I. Mind you, we have many perfectly scholarly, well-read, erudite academicians such as Dr. William Sandy Darity, who has made it his life's work to get the information that these bastards claim that they want. How many of them are saying, hey, Dr. Darity, won't you come and sit down with us? The congressional black caucuses are a goddamn joke. They all, 201, need to be primaried. And I mean to make it my mission, somehow, some way, to finally start officially an ADOS pack where we can take our nickels and dimes and pennies, our dollars, and start getting these useless bastards the hell out of Congress. We don't give a damn about whether or not they have a D at the end of their name or an R. If you think that talking to T.I. and See the God means that you understand economics for black people, you are fucking useless. You're as useless as tits on a bull. You're as useless as balls on a priest. And you need to find employment opportunities elsewhere. You know, like when y'all go to work and that brother that you used to work with over in the cubicle across the way ain't sitting over there, and you just notice because, you know, you finally pull your nose up off the grindstone. You be like, hey, where Jody at, man? He ain't been here the last couple of days. He all right? And then your manager says to you, oh, yeah, Jody is seeking employment opportunities elsewhere. That's what the fuck the congressional black caucuses need. To be seeking employment opportunities elsewhere. And we can do it. But that's a topic for another broadcast. I told you, family, that through this executive order, they literally gave us the keys to the kingdom. I want you to consider with me for a moment something that is going to be considered to be extremely radical by many of us who are ADOS proponents, and even some of us who are ADOS advocates. But I would like for you to consider with me a chance meeting with President Trump sometime, say in July, where we're able to get in there and just meet with the man. Maybe slide Dr. Darity and other economists in there with them. And we say, President Trump, we have traditionally been supporters of a certain ass party. I'm sorry, I meant donkey party. But we are reconsidering our position. We have asked these individuals to support us in our endeavors to help us to experience the fullest expression of our citizenship as devoted Americans, as patriotic Americans. And we have been rebuffed, thwarted at every turn, Mr. President. So, what we would like to do for you today is give you a small, little, brief introduction as to what we've had to face. Some of it you're not going to agree with, some of it you're going to think is bullshit. So do we. And afterwards, we'd like to present you with some information that could, I don't know, create the platform for you to take action as a president who wants to make America great. And I would like for our representatives to walk out of that office with a motherfucking October surprise for the Democrats. Yeah, I said it. I want us to run the Congress. I want us to run these useless, wasteful, mouth-breathing, low IQ morons who we have paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for them to cushion their fat black asses. I want us to run them. Just like the people that submitted this documentation for this executive order to Donald Trump, and he was like, "Ooh, sounds legit to me, sign." We could do the same damn thing. We can hit these bastards from two fronts. We can go directly to the White House. Look, I don't want to hear shit from anybody who tells us that we can't at least talk to President Trump. You know why? Because fucking Kim Kardashian could go and talk to President Trump and get a woman pulled out of prison. Kim Kardashian, you know, racially ambiguous, fake ass, sex tape, Kanye married Kim Kardashian. That bitch, she has no problem with going and sitting in front of the president for what she believes in. But you got people out here telling us, "Oh, we can't go to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a racist." Name me a motherfucker in America who ain't racist. Name me somebody who is non-ADOS that supports us like we do. We're still struggling to get ADOS people to remember the unity that we have from our moment of our birth, our birthright. Our lineage is what ties us together, and we're still struggling to get other ADOS to see that. Everybody else who it doesn't have that tie of lineage with us could give less than a good goddamn about us. So the fact that Donald Trump may be a racist surely cannot be a disqualifier for having a conversation with the man. Marguerite, I tell you what, I would agree with you if there was never any black people that was in the Oval Office talking with Donald Trump. But whether you like the brother or not, or agree with what he's on or not, we know for a fact that Isaiah Washington has been in Donald Trump's face helping to push the First and the Second Step Act, and he's getting shit done. You don't have to agree with the walk away thing, right? If you're still married to Democrats or whatever the case may be, that's fine, right? Even though Yvette and Tone both say we're not caring about D or R. We are caring about our agenda and our interests. We have no permanent allies. We have no permanent friends. We only have permanent interests. And damn it, I'll be perfectly honest with you. If it meant that my people could finally have a hearing on our justice claim and start to initiate the process of us getting our due before 2053 hits like a freight train, I would sit down and talk with the damn devil himself. And can you imagine the sea change, the effect that you would see if Donald Trump was going to find even a way to start the process, to initiate a commission, to start the process of ensuring that we got our due. If Donald Trump came out full bore for justice for ADOS folk, the Republicans wouldn't have to worry about the House, the Senate, or the White House for the next 100 years. And you know how I know it? Because LBJ just agreed in the 60s to enforce the laws that have been on the books for over 100 years. That was all the civil rights movement was about, was just getting the goddamn government to finally enforce the laws that was our rights under the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments of the Constitution. And just by him agreeing to support legislation to enforce the law, he said, and I can guarantee I can get niggas to vote Democratic for the next 100 years. And he was right. LBJ was right. He simply agreed to do the needful, to enforce the law. And we have given our loyalty in droves to the Democratic Party. So you mean to tell me that if Donald Trump won't give us a hearing? Thank you, Andrea. I'll have these niggas voting Democrat for 200 years. LBJ said it. And he was right. Wouldn't it be nice if the Republicans didn't have to worry about even running? If they knew that they had black people's vote on lock because they were down finally for racial justice. If he was even able, look, if Trump initiated a commission, okay? If Trump initiated a commission. Now, family, understand the commission isn't the ones that cut the check. They may be, but let's keep it a buck. If Trump just said, look, I hear my fellow black citizens talking to the people who are supposed to support them, the people that they have given their loyalty to, and have watched them be rebuffed and dismissed and disrespected at each and every turn. So I, as their president, am going to initiate an executive commission made up of the most esteemed black folk I can get my damn hands on to try to establish ways of establishing racial justice and ultimately to look at paying the long-standing debt that America owes to ADOS folk. Booyakah. The Republicans are good. The Democrats wouldn't win another election in this country for the next 100 years. We need family. Wait a minute, Chris. Okay, so Chris says that's the other issue with the EO. Any new appropriations will need to be approved by Congress. Nope. Because isn't it funny? Donald Trump said Congress won't give me money to build the wall. Fine. He took money from the DOD. He took money from Homeland Security. He took money from a whole bunch of executive groups that he had already had the money given to them. So he took that money from them and found the motherfucking billions to build his wall. He took so much money and got it so quick that Congress said, well, shit, we might as well just give him the money. Because he going to build the damn thing anyway. Don't tell me what the president can't do. I say we hit them with the two-piece combo and the motherfucking biscuit. Since they like they butter biscuits so much. I'll look at it, Chris. And Chris is right. We do need to go over this shit with a fine-tooth comb. But family, I say we hit them with a two-piece and a biscuit combo. Pow. Right fist. We start primarying these dead carcasses sitting on their ass in Congress that do nothing but represent everybody but ADOS people. And we start putting ADOS folk in those seats. We can have our own version of Justice Democrats. We can have our own version of Justice Republicans. I don't got no problem with voting for a Republican if he's speaking my interests. So let's start primarying these sorry ass bastards in both the Congress, the House, and the Senate through an established, organized PAC. And let us start looking for ways to make a foray into the White House to actually speak with Donald Trump. We can walk and chew bubblegum, family, politically at the same time. We're not limited to just bitching every day at the CBC, right? The Congressional Black Caucuses, and hoping that they hear us. We know they see us and they ignore us like a motherfucker. Even when they have live sessions on YouTube and live tweets on Twitter, you put up anything with ADOS, they ignoring you. They ain't even gonna answer your question. So they see us, right? Why are we continuing to spin our wheels with these fucking fossils when we might be able to just end run them through the doors of 1300 Pennsylvania Avenue? That's all I'm saying, fam. We are done with politics 101. We know how to ask who you. We know how to follow the money. We know how to look at who's paying people and what their interests are. We are done with politics 101. It's time for us to step our game up. We can walk and chew gum at the same time politically. Look, family, if we go to Trump, KR is right. How do we look? Trump, one thing we know for a fact about Donald Trump is this. Donald Trump is America first. If we gave Donald Trump not only the opportunity to do something for a set or group of Americans who he has actually made, family, do not forget, and I'm not saying that I would vote for Donald Trump, so don't think that I'm like kissing his ass or anything, but understand me when I tell you something. Donald Trump in the last presidential race, the last presidential election, was the only candidate, both D and R, who gave a speech specifically to and addressing African Americans or ADOS folk. The only one. No Democrat did it and no other Republican did it. Only he did it. Where he laid out actual solutions. Now, some of those we may agree with, some of them we may not. But no one forced that man to give that speech. No one forced that man to look at any type of policy that might benefit specifically ADOS people. He chose to do that. And so because of that, family, forgive me for being stupid enough to be hopeful that he might be able to give us a listen to. That we might actually be able to get real advocates in there, not these ersatz, faux, chosen one advocates that the CBC and the DNC prop up for our enjoyment. I would love nothing more than to see President Trump not only do something for the most neglected group of Americans in this country, but be able to spit in the eye of every fucking Democrat out there. I would love it. I would be giddy as a schoolgirl. Damn party affiliation. I'm fucking done with the Democrats, the Republicans. No black agenda, no tangibles, no remediation, no restoration and repair of ADOS folk, no vote. This isn't rocket science, family. However, that is only one prong, one strategy. Consider that a flanking strategy, right? Now, we hit them from the left flank with the no vote threat, right, to the Democrats. Then we hit them from the right flank by running the congressional black carcasses and the DNC shields and the Justice Democrats that want to save the blue-eyed, red-breasted swamp booby and change the climate rather than actually do something for American citizens. We run all of them and take our shit straight to the motherfucking head honcho, the bull moose, the arch negotiator in chief. And we sit down in front of Donald Trump and say, let's make a deal. And see what he got to fucking say. How about that? I was built for that. I was built for that. I was built to try and get somebody in front of our sitting president, Dr. Darity. You know, Mirza Baradan, right? The one who wrote The Color of Money. Fuck, I don't even care if they necessarily ADOS folk. We could have Richard Rothstein sitting there. You know, the guy who wrote the color of shit. The book about redlining and shit like that, right? But I'm telling you, Trump values dealing, wheeling and dealing. I say we get in there with some of our motherfucking best and brightest, and we have us a good old-fashioned horn-swaggling back and forth, a wheeling deal. And we see what he got to say. Think about this. Donald Trump can threaten to not work on the behalf of any sitting senator or congressperson who's a Republican, and you can be assured that they won't get a vote. That's how powerful this man is within his own party. He's loved by the base of the party. You know, the corporocrats and the policy wonks and so on and so forth ain't so enamored with Trump. But when Trump goes and speaks anywhere, it is standing room only. His people fucking love him. Now, you mean to tell me that if Donald Trump says he wants something, and he wants the Republicans in both the House and the Senate to back his play, and they start saying they will not back his play, that they're going to get reelected by his base? That'll be like red meat to the motherfucking MAGAites. They'll be like, oh, that congressman won't do what the president told him to do. Get that motherfucker out of there. Not to mention the fact, thank you, Lindy. Think about how Donald Trump could spin this worldwide. There is one thing that the entire rest of the world, no matter how foul they are, in their own right, has to be able to use as a propaganda weapon against the United States of America. And that is, well, look at how you treat your black people. Can you imagine if Trump, 45, said, yeah, not no more. When I said make America great again, I meant all of America. So we're going to make them great too. And then y'all can shut the fuck up. What do you say, family? What do you say? Do we sit here and continue to hope that Emmanuel Cleaver's punk ass, from the 5th district in Missouri? I used to be one of his constituents, right, in KC. He used to be the mayor of Kansas City, Missouri. Any of you from Kansas City? Any of you been to Kansas City recently in the inner city? The place is dilapidated. It's a shithole. Rampant unemployment, crappy ass city services, all under his watch. And we're having to beg this incompetent, Peter principalized idiot to co-sponsor a bill that doesn't even ensure that at least half of the people that sit on the commission represent us. Why? We have other options, family. We have other options. This executive order that was placed before Trump that he thought, hey, sounds like a damn great idea. This could be the carrot, and what I'm doing to China could be the stick. But we got people telling us, oh, we can't go talk to Trump. Can't talk to Trump. He's racist. Can't talk to him. He don't like black people. I don't need Donald Trump to like me. I just need him to be able to be willing to deal with me. Trump could literally change the entire political game for the next 100 motherfucking years. You know, the reality show star married to a motherfucking model, kind of creepy with his daughter, could change the entire political motherfucking structure of everything. And the best part about it is we could give him the opportunity to do it. But we got people trying to tell us not to go talk to the man. Ain't that a bitch? Hell yeah, Missouri. People forget Missouri used to be a slave state. And trust me, they don't have a problem with reminding your black ass that that's the case. Missouri still got sundown towns in it, family. Places where if you ADOS folk, you don't want to go. Not if you like living. Donald Trump could change the whole damn game. Shout out to my brother Gab, man. Welcome to the broadcast. Thank you, Albert. Everybody talking about don't talk to Donald Trump because he don't like black people. But we supposed to vote for Biden, punk ass. Excuse me? Jim Crow Joe. So we supposed to not have anything to do, say, feel, think about Donald J. Trump. But we supposed to ride with Jim Crow Joe? You know, Joe Biden, first of his name, installer of chains, right? Protector of the realm. We supposed to support him? The fuck out of here. If we put it before President Trump as an economic boost, which of course we know that reparations to the American descendants of slavery would be the largest stimulus package this country has ever seen. Shit. People trying to tell us we can't go talk to Donald Trump. Hell, you say. What's the brother's name? The old basketball player used to be cold with them rebounds. Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman is friends with Kim Jong-un. How you gonna tell me that I shouldn't be talking to my president, you know, the leader of my nation. But yet we got people who can go and talk to Kim Jong-un. We got black people that can go and have sit downs with Muammar Gaddafi. May he rest. Right? We can go and talk to everybody, but we can't talk to our own motherfucking president? How high do you have to be? Family, it's time for us to do work. It is time for us to be politically savvy and to understand one important thing. We don't need to be arguing with random ass white people on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. We don't need to be kissing the ass of the Congressional Black Caucus or any other caucus. We got options. We will have our due. We will have our due. And we will talk with we will haggle with, we will negotiate with anybody in this government that we need to get the work done. We don't give a damn about D. We don't give a damn about R. We don't give a damn about whether you white. We don't give a damn about whether you black. We're going to talk to whoever, whenever, and however we need to get the job done for them to cut the check. And this executive order gave us a roadmap. Family, I'm not the sharpest tack in the box, but I consider myself a fairly good writer. Hell, I'll write up an executive order, a draft that we can get before before Donald Trump. I'll do it. And I know there's better writers out there than me. Why don't we hit them from every fucking direction politically we can? We hit them from every political direction we can. Serve them up with that two-piece combo and a biscuit till they cut the check. They can argue with us over what happened. The one thing they can't argue with us on is that they owe us. We need to be race people, tribesmen. You are my fellow tribes people. So we need to be tribes people, and we need to be single issue voters, single issue politics and advocates. Chris, you liked the Repair Act? You feel me? We can get this done. Do not let anybody, and I don't care who they are or how convincing that they sound, family, do not let anybody tell you who you cannot speak with. The First Amendment to the Constitution gives you as a citizen the right to petition your government for specific redress of grievances. Your beef ain't with Billy Joe Bob up the street. You don't even need to care what he thinks about reparations. Your combat, your efforts need to be focused at his representatives. And that's it, and that's all. You don't have no negotiation with Jane and John Morgan and of Mistletoe, PA. We got some haggling and some negotiating to do with our government. That's it, and that's all. We are American. We are America, and we have just as much right as any other American to address our government for specific redress. Are y'all with me? Angry Black Sheep, are you with me? We can hit them from multiple sides. We can do flanking maneuvers, damn it. Right? It's time for us as ADOS folk to play the Game of Thrones, and I'll be goddamned if I be, House Tyrell. I'm looking to be House Stark, damn it. I'm looking to have one of us sitting on the Iron Throne at the end of the whole piece. But we just have to be savvy. We just have to put in the work. Are y'all with me? Then damn it, let's do this. Family, I'm done. I'm gonna open it up. The line is open, first come, first served, right? Remember, one call at a time. Couple of rules. If you have me turned up, turn me down in the background, right? We want to keep the sound quality good for the fam so they can hear the call and understand what's going on, what's cracking, right? And depending on how many people are trying to call in, right? We want to make sure we get our point, right? Get our goods in, but try to be as clear, concise, succinct. Hit it hard, hit it and quit it. Treat the phone like, well, I ain't gonna go there, but you feel me, right? So with that, the floor is yours, family. The line is open, right? Give your brother a call. Hey, August, I'm all about it. Okay, here we go. All right, caller from 347. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's on your mind?
Peace, brother. This is Chris from Sacramento. Chris
There's
Tatavia,
my
West
brother,
Politics in
brother
Sacramento.
Chris. Brother Chris, good to
What's
hear
up,
from you,
fam?
man. What's up, fam? Talk
Yo, good
to
to hear
us.
from you too, fam. Shout out to you. Shout out to the work you doing. Shout out to the ADOS family, obviously listening. I'm not going to take too much of your time, fam. I wanted to drop a couple of points on the executive order. So first thing is, uh, you rightly pointed to the appointments part of the executive order, and then you also rightly pointed to the comparison between that appointments part of the executive order and the appointments part of HR 40 and now S1083. If you don't know, there's also a Senate companion bill in the Senate that is a companion bill to HR 40, first of its kind. But
Really?
uh, Yes, yes. It was introduced by Cory Booker. It has three co-signers right now, including Kamala Harris. Um, so, so that's something. But just on this appointments part. So my thinking is, if you don't like the fact that the president gets three picks on the HR 40 commission, and Pelosi gets three picks, and the Senate Pro Tem gets one pick. If you don't like all these government picks, then you're probably not going to like the fact that the president gets all of the picks on the executive order. That's my reading of it, and I looked closer at it. The president would pick all of the commission members in that executive order. Now, there is some language about who they have to be,
Right.
but the president still has the discretion. So if you don't like the fact that the president got three on that 13-member HR 40 and S1083 commission, then you probably won't like the president getting all 13 if it is 13 in the executive order. So I just want to throw that in there, and for us to discuss at some point.
Brother Chris,
Also, I
let's
think
discuss it now real quick, if you don't mind, because I have a
okay,
quick question.
sure.
First of all, I want to say that I appreciate your political acumen, brother. You are a sharp political mind, and it is a gift and opportunity. No,
Thank
seriously,
you,
to
man.
have you
I appreciate
participate
that,
in my
man.
broadcast. Now, I think that my issue is not so much with the fact of the president deciding or this, that, and the third. The problem is the lack of accountability, right? With an
Yeah,
executive commission, we know that the president gets to decide. So if some fuckery commences, we know where the buck stops, right? But you can have three members, one of which is messing around with one of Pelosi's people, you know what I'm saying, who
hmm
then's got, butter biscuits that they feed into one of the
Oh
six,
yeah,
right? And so you see
oh
what I'm
yeah.
saying? So what happens is you end up with these entanglements that makes it
Yes.
difficult for us to pinpoint exactly who it is that needs to get the shade in the smoke in case some fuckery
Yeah.
commences. So I don't have a problem per se with Donald Trump having three picks or whatever. I want one group, one person to have all the picks. Right? That's ideal.
Right on.
Because then if there's some
Yep.
mess, we know who to take it to. Would you agree?
I'm generally in agreement with that. And but more broadly, I'm in agreement with the strategy that you're talking about, which is to pursue the congressional legislative route, but also to pursue the executive commission route. That I think is a proper strategy, right? And I think it's also important to put this question to presidential candidates. Would you in your first 100 days create by executive order a commission to do this, that, or the third on reparations? I think I think the dual path is the right way to go about it. Actually, Sandy Berry co-signed this actual thinking a couple of months ago in a tweet talking about how a president can unilaterally create a commission. So
Absolutely.
I think the strategy is right. The only other point that I'll make, and then I'll stop talking, is the fact that we have to look at the appropriations language in the executive order,
Agreed.
because there's some talk in that executive order about appropriations being made, quote, within existing appropriations, or subject to the availability of appropriations, right? So
Right.
that's troubling language, right? So, what I want to do here is just point out some of the pitfalls that we want to be careful and
Yes.
prepare and sort of work around. But I'm totally in agreement with the strategy. The last thing I'll say on the appropriations piece is that if we're talking about new money, right, new big money, which reparations, the floor is probably $2-3 trillion. The ceiling is probably tens of trillions of dollars.
Chris, did
If
you
we're
see
talking
the
about
tweet
new
that I
money,
put out the other day? Boris Bicker back in '72 wrote a book called The Case for Reparations. And in that book,
no, I didn't know that.
okay, so let me give you a quick synopsis because I think this will help you
Sure,
out
sure.
because we were talking about numbers, right? And that's my thing,
Yep, yep.
right? So Boris Bicker in his book, The Case for Reparations, after doing calculations, established a baseline number of $1 trillion. Now, that was in 1972. So, what I did to
Hmm.
get a number that would be comparable today was I used the inflation calculator, the government's inflation calculator, to calculate it.
Right.
And based off of inflation and so on and so forth, $1 trillion in today's money as a baseline would be roughly $6.1 trillion, right? I wanted to give
I'll
you
take it.
that number, right? So that you could have a good baseline, right? Because I think
Yeah,
that,
no, that's absolutely right.
yeah,
That's
absolutely. So I
that's
think as a floor, it may be better for us to start using numbers like that. You feel me?
So yeah, so let me just correct that, right? So let's use that floor, right? The $6 trillion floor, and the ceiling is high, right?
Yes.
It's higher than that. But the point I'm trying to make is we're talking about new money here, new appropriations, if I'm not mistaken. That ultimately would require Congress no matter what, right?
Agreed.
So let's say this commission gets formed, right? They say, hey, this is what reparations should look like. It should be a portfolio of initiatives, including financial compensation and
Yes.
land and all this other stuff, right? Well, that's going to require dollars, and Congress has power over that. So that would still probably need to go through Congress.
Agreed.
So I just want us to be knowing, what sort of the upcoming steps are. Doesn't mean we don't pursue this path. I think we do, but just want us to be aware of sort of what the road ahead looks like, and then I'll stop.
Absolutely. No, hey, brother, as
Appreciate you.
always, a pleasure. You know you're welcome to contact
Yeah.
us anytime, man. And again,
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate your political savvy, your acumen. It's definitely that you got the skills to pay the bills, brother, and we love you. Thank you so
I
much for your
appreciate that, man. I
contribution, man.
thank you. Thank you for your work. Thanks, guys.
All
Bye.
right, bro. Family, Chris brought up a very important point, which is why I also mentioned the need for us to initiate our own pack, right? Look, family, I watched a documentary a while back that discussed how the Jewish lobby was able to get so much influence in American politics, right? It was a documentary that was done by Al Jazeera, and it was actually blackballed, right? It was banned because the subject matter was so incendiary, but it laid out details on how bundling works. It laid out details on how these politicians are able to get these huge amounts of money, private money, for advocacy. It showed parties where people were coming in and contributing individual gifts that were then bundled into chunks that went into these politicians' pockets for their voice, right? So, family, the weapons that we need in order to be able to do the needful are available to us, right? They're out there. We simply just need to commit to using them, right? So I think that Chris is absolutely spot on in that we do have to consider the role of Congress in controlling the purse strings, which is why, as a part of our strategy, this multi-pronged strategy, we remove the old roadblocks, right? The current obstacles that exist within both houses of Congress, both the Senate and the House, right? So we start primarying some of these so-called black congressional carcass, get them out of there, right? Then on top of that, we put forward the ADOS equivalent of Justice Democrats, similar to how AOC, right? And Ilhan, damn it, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting her name, right? But like the outsider Democrats did, create a pre-made caucus from the grassroots that has committed publicly to going in there and speaking with our voice, right? So we take care of the congressional side of this piece, right? We end run the DNC by putting people who are not beholden to the DNC, because those people are beholden to us. Thank you, Chris. Ilhan Omar, right? Those people would be beholden to us as ADOS Democrats or ADOS Republicans. You see what I'm saying? So there's a multitude of methodologies that we can use to tackle both the Congress as well as whoever the current sitting president is in the White House. And the beautiful thing about this, family, is that it can definitely be done. Each of these other identity groups, these other ethnic groups and other identity groups have shown us the path to get this done. We simply just need, and Dr. Lely, I would absolutely agree with you. Family, if there is nothing else that you take away from this broadcast, and I hope you take a lot, right? But if you take nothing else away from this broadcast, understand me, you do not need to sit here and debate with any citizen who is not a member of the government. The opinion of Becky Ann Johnson from up the street does not matter when it comes to reparations. It don't. You can argue with white folks, Latinos, immigrants, non-immigrants, whatever the hell you want. You can argue with them all. Their opinion doesn't matter. This is us addressing our government for a specific redress of our grievance, for the addressing of our justice claim. You never have to debate with any of these folk. Period. By the way, family, you do know that our esteemed elder brother and amazing scholar, Dr. Darity, has a book coming out in 2020, in October 2020, addressing reparations definitively and finally, that will give hard data, hard facts, and hard numbers. Y'all do know that, right? Y'all do plan to grab that book as soon as it hits the presses, right? Dr. Darity has long been doing this work, right? We need to be lifting that man's name up in every conversation that has to do with our justice claim, and never fail. You don't have to like the brother. If you have personal animus toward Dr. Darity, although he's such a very nice man, so, unprepossessed, and that I can't imagine anybody would have any particular animus toward him. But even if you don't like him, you cannot deny his obvious bona fides, right? So we need to make sure that we support that work. You feel me? As soon as it drops. Matter of fact, I'm already committed. By the way, shout out to Dr. Darity. He just started following me on Twitter. And y'all know I fanboyed it up. I'm not even gonna lie. I was like I caught the vapors. I was like, Dr. Darity's following me on Twitter. I was all excited and everything. I ain't gonna lie. I was on some straight up girl shit. I'm just gonna say it. I'm such a fanboy, right? So, yeah, his book. No, it's Big Unk. It's coming out next October in 2020. According to Dr. Darity, the last interview I saw with him and Kirsten are still working on the final draft of it, right now. But it's supposed to be coming out in October of 2020, right? So yeah, Marguerite August, I'm not gonna front. I'm a huge fanboy, and so when he started following me on Twitter, I'm telling you, I had that like one little tear hanging in the corner of my eye. Was like the throat got tight. I was all choked up and shit because I just respect the hell out of the man. Like I'm telling you, I, I hang on his every tweet. You know what I'm saying? Like it's ridiculous. You know how people have like their favorite stars and so on and so forth, right? My favorite star is a damn economist. Love Dr. Darity. So shout out to Dr. Darity. And shout out to my sister Yvette. Many of you now who are watching me live and who have joined the channel heard me speak on her broadcast yesterday. And she shouted me out and she didn't have to do that. So Sister Yvette, I love you and I can't thank you enough for the opportunity to share advocacy, to share this space with you. I hope I continue to do my people proud, to provide them with key data and information and analysis that they can't get anywhere else, and to continue to fight for their interests. Andrea said, is Claude out of the convo? I'll be honest with you. I don't have any personal animus toward Dr. Anderson. I actually have a great deal of respect for Dr. Anderson. I would think, however, that Dr. Anderson might be putting himself out of the conversation, right? No offense, but it is clear to us that this whole idea of trying to build economics first before politics is a failed idea, right? This isn't the 19th century when America was still roughly new and a new group could establish itself and build a beachhead in order to be able to gather resources to then buy the political machine. We don't have the equivalent of an ADOS opportunity for a Tammany Hall like Dr. Anderson is basically talking about. It's not, I'm not saying that Dr. Anderson is necessarily wrong. I'm thinking that his information may need to be updated, right? He's a little bit behind the loop. The politics have to come first, right? But his alliance with people like Dr. Boyce Watkins and so on and so forth, who are talking about, this whole bootstrap idea and hardcore black cap. I'm just not certain if he's still in that same space, right? I'm not. So I'm not disrespecting the man. I value his work and the efforts that he's made. I'm just concerned that perhaps he may be kind of maneuvering himself or positioning himself out of this space. Not that we're doing it. I hope that answered your question, Andrea. Right? Like I said, you know, we have the data, right? I can't for the life of me see how Dr. Boyce Watkins can read a report like the 67-page report establishing what we get wrong about the racial wealth gap and still speak on the same shit that he speaks on. And not only that, but in some way maneuver our elder brother into kind of co-signing that same drivel. I'll be honest, it's disgusting to me. I'm repulsed by it, right? And I have, because I'm me, I've been able to keep my repulsion of the advocacy that I'm seeing Dr. Anderson tied to from the man himself. I still esteem him, but I am repulsed by the fact that it appears that either he is willing to be or he is being used to support ideas that I think are no longer tenable, if they have ever been tenable for ADOS folk. Family, the line is open. I don't want to keep this going too long. So if nobody's going to call in, we'll go ahead and wrap it up in about 7 minutes, right? So if you got something you want to say on what we've talked about today, if you want to address, strategy, the executive order, if you have things that you want to discuss related to this topic, get your call on. The number's right there. But yeah, Afro Troop, I'm gonna say what needs to be said. Like I respect our brother, but I don't respect the position he finds himself in. Right, Dr. Anderson, I can't respect that. That that space has been obviously shown to be a false position. It is not a valid position for any scholar, any academician, any person who holds themselves out as politically savvy can continue to hold. Thank you, Fighting. I'm glad you did find me on Twitter, and I'm glad that you joined the Angry Black Sheep. I am definitely glad to have you. Like I said, this channel is about you. Black Outcast Media is about providing you with the content and the information that is valuable to you and your existence as ADOS people. I'm not closed off to anybody else. White folks are welcome. Oh, here we go. We got a call. All right. Caller from 916. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's on your mind?
What's happening? This your boy Boots on the ground
Boots, what's cracking?
from Oakland, California, gentrified to Sacramento, California. What's
Yep.
happening?
Shit, you know how it be,
What's
man.
going on?
Hey, same old stuff,
Oh
different
man, you
day.
know me, same old thing,
By the way, I want to give a shout out to you,
same old
Boots on the
thing. Hey,
ground. I know you out there putting in the work, family. Boots on the ground. Our brother Boots on the ground here
hey,
is actually out there getting the work in, talking to folk, handing out information all day, every day. So, brother, if you want to tell people how to reach you or support you or whatever, this your chance. Go ahead.
man, they know how to reach me, man. I'm done acting, man. I'm done acting for support, Mark. They support who they want to support. I'm done with it. You know what I'm saying? They see me on there. You know, but what I was saying is, everybody want to say Claude Anderson and all these people. ADOS got this momentum going. Nobody did this, but Claude Anderson did it. But did he get some momentum? No.
I think Claude put the cart before the horse, right? And his idea, Boots, I'm certain you'll agree with what he saw happening like in the 70s and stuff like that with Nixon's push for black capitalism as a means to kind of ameliorate the racial wealth gap and so on and so forth. For its time, Dr. Anderson's work was seminal. It was important. I just think that perhaps our brother hasn't been able to keep up with the changes on the ground that makes what he's advocating untenable. What do you think?
Uh, I don't be tripping on the past like that, Mark. I be dealing with the present. You know what I'm
Right?
saying? I deal with what's happening right now. I don't be dealing with what happened in 1942 and all that. But what I'm saying is, we got this momentum going.
Yeah,
Nobody else, man. Why we can't get our props?
I
Feel
hear
me?
you. You know, I
Don't 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 discourage people that you know what I'm saying. They got momentum in them. Cause see, that's what that'll do. That'll slow people down. Like, damn, I ain't doing good enough. I'm out here for, you know what I mean?
you know what, Rio? I want to tell you, bruh. I feel where you're coming from. And I'll even throw in the fact that one of the failures, because I'm not one of these people that will necessarily put boomers on blast per se. But I will say that there's a lot of shit that they failed us on. And one of those things that they have failed us on is that boomers have not groomed the next generation of leadership. They won't fall back, right? And let the next group step up to the plate to continue the struggle, right? So I agree with you. It's time for our esteemed elder brothers and sisters to rest on their laurels, right? We acknowledge what they've done and what they attempted to do and so on and so forth, but we see things from a different perspective and we need to have the capability and the tools to fight with the data that we have available now, not with what somebody was talking about, say, in 1970 something or 1980 something. You feel me?
Right, right, right. And another thing, the reason I keep preaching this 500 trillion, right? How many corporations was built off slavery? Let's start with Nike. How
Yeah.
much Nike worth? Let's go. Let's go to Bank of America. Let's go to Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
Let's go to Sears. It's why I say 500 trillion, man. If we say 6 trillion, that's just a few companies. That's 6 point trillion. That's what Wells Fargo, Chase, and Bank of America right there.
You
You know what I'm
know,
saying?
you know what I say, real, and I'm just gonna keep it a buck, bruh. Aim for the stars is settle for the moon. You see what I'm saying? We're not gonna
Right.
give 500 trillion.
Right.
Let's just keep now. Come
Right.
on,
Right.
this is
We
you and
know that.
me,
Right.
bruh. Let's keep it
Right.
funky,
Right.
right? 500
Right.
trillion ain't gonna happen, but I think by throwing okay, so it's kind of like when you go to a motherfucking to buy a car, right? And the dude who's selling you the car tell you right now this car is a $70,000 car. You like $70,000? The hell? I'm not spending $70,000 on a car, right? So then he says,
Right.
"Well, you know what? We definitely value your business. Tell you what, we gonna knock 30 off of that just for the love. So can we do 40?" Now it's really a $25,000 car. So they're gonna
Right.
make
Right. We know how
bank.
it goes.
They
You know,
make bank
I'm
on
from
it
the
at
streets,
40.
man.
You feel me?
I'm I'm from the streets. That's all we. That's all we do is negotiate. If it ain't no negotiation, we ain't buying it. You know how we do it, Mark.
Yeah, but my point is, bro, is aim for the stars, settle for the moon. You know what I'm saying? I don't think your number is ridiculous. I don't think it's gonna happen, but I don't think you throwing out 500 trillion out there is bad in any way, shape, or fashion. Hell, I say we hit them for the high, right? Throw out the high number,
Right.
and then let's have some haggling, right? Let's have some back and forth, some dialogue, some give and take.
Right. I'm
Absolutely.
just, you know, I'm just looking at what was built. You know what I mean? In America, man. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the thing is though, too real, and this is important to note. Our justice claim truly is innumerable. And the fact is that, and this is a true fact, we cannot put an actual value on the lives that were taken, on
Right. Right.
the children
Right.
killed,
Ain't no limit.
right?
Ain't no limit. You right, Mark. Right.
I mean, regardless of what number that we
Right.
ultimately derive at, it will never
I didn't even think
actually.
that.
You see what I'm saying? So
I, I never even. I didn't even count the lives.
no, but you feel me? I mean, at the end of the day, right? Our loss is in some ways incalculable, right? So whatever number that ultimately is come up with is going to be arbitrary by its very nature. But with that
Right.
said, right, we know for a fact that there is a number that puts us in a position to be just as American as anybody else, right? We know that there's a number that heals or seals the breach. You feel me? And we know that there's a number that ensures that 2053 is a non issue. That's what we need to be
Right.
aiming for. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
Right. So,
For sure.
with that, yeah, with that in mind, brother, I appreciate you and you keep hitting them with that 500 trill. I'm gonna keep rocking with you. You hear me?
Better know it. You know we on it, Mark. We ain't playing. How your sister doing?
My sister is doing well. She went through another surgery. They put pins in her leg today. I got a chance to talk to her and tell her I love her. She couldn't necessarily respond, but she heard me. She's a little agitated. She's a
You
little
went.
frustrated. But
You went up. You went up. You went up there, Mark.
no, no, no. I called.
Oh, you
I
called.
don't have quite yet the means to make that trip down to Tulsa.
Oh, she back.
I'm working on it with my missus to try to finagle that out of the budget and so on and so forth and make that happen because I would love to see my baby sister. But um, yeah, she's doing much better. I don't know if they've changed her condition from critical to just serious or anything like that. My mother did call during this broadcast, so when I get off with you guys, I will contact my mother and get some more details. But thank you, brother,
Yes,
for your
sir.
love, your support, and for
You know I'm
asking
thinking
about her,
about you.
man. I definitely
I'm
appreciate
thinking
it.
about you.
I definitely
I'm
appreciate it,
thinking
man.
about you, man. So she back home?
No, no, she's still in the hospital, bro. She's still in the hospital, man.
No, no, from your home state. She back at your home state.
No, no, no. My sister lives in Oklahoma. My home state is Missouri, right? So she lives in Oklahoma. The accident happened in Oklahoma, so she's in a hospital in
Okay,
Oklahoma.
okay, okay.
All right,
All
bro.
right,
Well,
man.
I'm
I
gonna
was
go
just
ahead
tapping in,
and
Mark.
yeah, hey, no problem, bro. You know you're welcome to call in anytime. Thank you, bro. I appreciate your contribution. I love you, man.
All right.
Family, I wanted to address a couple of things in the chat because Dr. Lely is getting it in. Dr. Lely, I hope you understand that I am not necessarily shitting on the boomers, right? And I won't discount, unlike some, the opposition that we're seeing from these so-called millennials, right, who are speaking from a position of ignorance and making appeals to authority and just parroting back talking points that they've heard at their young Republicans meeting and so on and so forth, right? So far be it from me to ever, do that. However, it is a valid critique to say that perhaps our boomer forebears have not done us a service by grooming the next generation of leaders. We don't have to look far to see the evidence of that, right? In every mainline so called black organizations that we see, all of the leadership are all boomers. And these people are now in like their 60s and 70s, a time when they should be actually winding down, becoming, the equivalent of black elder statespeople. They're still trying to hold on to the reins of power. Meanwhile, because they haven't really had their ear to the ground and understand the space in which we're maneuvering now, they're operating on outdated and outmoded information, and they're putting us in deleterious positions and claiming that it's advocacy. And yes, that is a valid critique, right? So I hope that I've clarified that while I have no personal animus towards boomers in general, I do have an issue with the fact that they simply refuse to engage the next generation in a way that is healthy, that ensures longevity, right? That ensures the passing on of the legacy. It's almost as if these people are hoping that without them, the whole thing falls apart. I, I don't want to accuse them of malice per se, although it's easy as hell to accuse Mark Morial of malice. It's easy as hell to accuse John. What's his name? I forget. The congressman, Conyers, not Conyers, but you know what I'm talking about, right? It's easy to accuse them of malice because we see them working against our interests. You feel me? But there are a lot of people that could be grooming the next generation that aren't. Or if they aren't, or if they are, we're not seeing the evidence of it as of yet. In other words, we're not seeing the evidence of that transfer of power to the next generation, whether politically, economically, so on and so forth. Family, great discussion today, right? I told you, have on your thinking caps. Clyburn, that's who I sure enough knew because I always forget his name. Clyburn, right? Family, we had a great discussion today. I hope you had your thinking caps on. I hope you had your ears perked up. If not, you can catch this on the re-up. Again, family, if you're able and you have the coins, I recognize my audience. We ain't rich. But if I gave you something that edifies, something that helps, if I provided you with something that can give you a boost forward, tip your brother and show some love. If you want some tangibles for your support, I do have merchandise available, also books, links to books there that can give you some more additional information about our advocacy and what we're trying to do out here, right? And all of that goes to support my work. So family, this Saturday for Sucker Free Saturday, right, is going to be our memorial broadcast. We're going to uplift the ones that have fallen, right, the ones we have lost. We're going to say their names. We're going to tell their stories, and it is going to be live, right? So please make sure you are here this Saturday for Sucker Free Saturday, because we are going to celebrate our people who have transitioned, who have passed on, who have gone, from us, but haven't left our hearts. So, family, until this Saturday, until the next time I speak with you, as always, I want to wish you all love, peace, prosperity, and power. Real power to our people.